Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to do a continuous flower and leaf garland. You can use any size weight yarn, any fiber yarn, any size hook, completely flexible pattern. For this project I am using a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook and just some 4-weight acrylic yarn. I'm going to be using a solid color for this tutorial, but you can use any type. You can use self-striping, you can use variegated. This one was made with a variegated yarn, and you can see how you get the little color changes if you do that. And you'll need a pair of scissors, no yarn needle for this. We're going to work continuously along a chain, adding leaves and flowers as you like. That's one of the best parts of this project. So I like to start by adding loops to the ends of my garland chains. This is completely optional, but if you want a little loop, you're going to start with a slip knot on your hook, and you're going to chain 15. Once you have 15 chains, to make a loop, we are just going to slip stitch right back into the very first chain and slip stitch back through that one on your hook, and you've got a little loop to hang your garland. Now we're going to chain a length in between the first motif that we do. The first motif I'm going to show you is the leaf, so I'm just going to chain maybe another 15, but you can choose as many or as few chains in between these motifs as you want. Once you have the desired chains that you like in between the start of your little garland here from your loop, or in between the motifs depending on where you want to place them, we're going to work a leaf motif. So a leaf motif is worked like this. We're going to work backwards along this chain. I'm going to put a slip stitch into that first one back from the hook. Into the next one I'm going to work a single crochet, and into that third one back I'm going to work 5 half double crochets. Make sure you're going into that same chain for all 5. You want to kind of pull the chain to the other side so you can get around the corner here. Once you have 5 half double crochets, we're going to work back up. We're going to put a single crochet right opposite the single crochet that we did coming down the leaf or up the leaf. And then we're going to slip stitch to the top of that first chain over here. And you've got sort of the start of a leaf. We're going to chain 1, and I'm going to single crochet right back into that same place. I'm going to work a half double crochet into the next, a half double crochet into the next. Now we're going to work double crochets. So we want 1 double crochet into the same chain. We're going to work a second double crochet, and into the same space here again a third double crochet. So 3 double crochets into that top little stitch up there. You want to find that next chain or stitch, slip stitch, and I'm going to work the top here, the next stitch. I'm going to slip stitch, find the chain at the back, and just put my hook through one of those chains and slip stitch back through everything and that will just kind of make sure that your chain is secure on your little leaf. So we've got a little leaf there. Now we're going to go ahead and chain any desired number of chains for your length in between your next motif. And the next motif that I'll show you is the flower. Once you have your desired chain length in between your motifs, we are going to work the flower. So to work a flower, we need to work into the 4th chain back from the hook. So we're going to count back 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm just going to slip stitch into that chain. And that's going to create our little ring to work the flower. I'm going to chain 3. I'm going to work a treble. And I'm going to put my hook right through the middle of that little ring, bring up a loop, and finish my treble. We're going to chain 3 and slip stitch right back into that ring. All of our petals are made working right into that center ring. You want to always keep your chain part of your garland off to the side in the back. You don't really want to work over it. You just kind of, it's just sort of floating in the back here behind our work. We're going to chain 3. We're going to work a treble. Make sure you don't grab that chain from the garland. And then chain 3 and slip stitch right back into that center. You want 5 total petals, so I'm going to work another petal. So I've got 4 petals. I'm going to work one more petal. Chain 3 and slip stitch. Now on your last petal, you're going to put your hook in as if to slip stitch, grab the chain from your garland, and just again put your hook through one of those chains, the closest one that is to that flower where you're slip stitching, and you can slip stitch back through both, and you've got your little flower. And now your garland chain is sort of, it'll allow your flowers and your leaves to hang a little bit more uniformly when you slip stitch back through that chain as you're going. So then to finish this garland, what we're going to do, you're going to keep working until you have however many leaves and flowers in whatever order you want them, all the way down the line, chaining, your desired number in between each motif. To finish off, you're going to chain whatever length you did between the end of this first loop and your first motif, and that'll keep it uniform. And then an additional 15, and then you'll slip stitch back into the 15th chain from the hook, and you can fasten off. So I would just chain however many I did, and then an additional 15 chains just to create that loop. Once you have those 15 additional chains, you would just slip stitch back into the 15th chain, and you create a little loop, and then you fasten off. Now the best thing about these continuous garlands is that you don't have to have a yarn needle, you don't have to sew in ends. I literally fasten off here, tie a knot, get it as close as I can to the bottom of that loop, maybe do 1 or 2 knots, and then snip my yarn. Same thing for this one. I would just tie this around that garland chain a few times, make sure it's tight, as close to this bottom part of the loop as possible, and then cut my yarn, and then you've got a really cute, easy, and fun little garland to hang up around the house. Like I said, you can use these in, you can make these in any colors, any type of variegated yarn. Use any size hook. They're super flexible. They're great for scraps. They don't take up a whole lot of yarn, and you don't have to weave in your ends. And at the end, you've got a nice, really simple flower and leaf garland. Now, if you wanted to make your flowers all different colors, you could, of course, use this same flower motif pattern separate. You would just chain 4, slip stitch back into the first chain, and then create your petals that way. You would, of course, have to weave in your ends then, but you could slip stitch the individual flowers onto your chain garland as you go. So if you wanted your leaves and your garland string to be green, you could work the leaves continuously, and then as you're working your flowers, you could just slip stitch those flowers on as you're going with your flowers. So there's a lot of choices with this pattern, but for me, I really like the fact that it's super simple. There's no ends to weave in. I can make it all in one go, and it doesn't take very long, and you've got these cute little flowers and leaves. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, happy crocheting, everyone. Bye.